evening and welcome to the GameFace SFNL Netball Show. I'm Hugh McLean.
And I'm Michaela Bolte. And today, Hugh, before we get started, I'm setting us a challenge.
Okay, what challenge are you setting us?
I watched last week's show.
Did you? Why did you do that?
I said absolutely way too many times.
How many?
Probably 9.
9?
Yeah, and
9.
You said basically a lot. So
probably 6 or 7?
Yeah. So I think we can work on that this week.
I think we can.
Yeah.
I think we can. So, we have a few top stories and they're absolute crackers. Okay, the reigning premiers, Modi Alec, slumped to 1-2 after 3 rounds, and we didn't see that coming, did we?
Not at all. And also we have some rumours going around that we're going to touch on.
In a segment that we call Under the Bus.
And Hugh's just named that, so any feedback would be great.
If you want to throw anybody under the bus, please let us know via the SFNL GameFace Facebook site, and we will do the throwing next week.
We also have some news on the Interleague squads.
There are interleague squads, Mac?
Oh, well, apparently so.
Well, there you go. I believe there's an umpire shortage.
Yeah, and something that affected a lot of people on the weekend.
Maybe they're all training for Interleague. And, of course, it being after round 3, there have been regradings done.
Yes, and to finish off our top stories, we've got the injury update brought to you by Body First Health Group. And from my reports, I wasn't on the courts there on Saturday, but there wasn't too many significant injuries.
No, I think the main injury would have been Mac to a dodgy knee on the bike.
Yeah.
But we had Zoe Lithgow from St Paul's, who didn't quite make it to half-time, which is a shame because she was having a cracker of a game in the first half. But she spent the rest of the game on the sidelines with the ice pack on her foot. Hopefully it's not too serious, but we'll find out in due course.
Yeah. And also, Hugh, from your side of camp, there was any reports on the 2 Modi Alec girls that are out?
Yeah, Emily Morris looks like a 6-weeker. Ankle ligaments. Thankfully, she's avoided a broken ankle, which is good, which is a fear.
Yeah.
But a bit of ligament damage and very, very close to a full rupture, but not quite. So okay. 6 weeks, probably the best case scenario, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sophie Dernan probably still 3 or 4 weeks away with her ankle. I believe from a Caulfield perspective, Tiff McConnell was back.
Yeah, so she was on the court on Saturday, and I hear she went very well and pulled up well. So some exciting news there.
Yeah, got through half a game. Probably will increase the workload over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And that brings us to our next part, which is the round 3 recap. So we had Cheltenham 43 defeat Modi Alec 40. Hugh, what were your thoughts on that?
Cheltenham too good.
Yeah.
Basically, that's the long and the short of it. Modi Alec a lot better than last week against Heaven.
Yeah.
But Cheltenham, very impressive. They've moved the ball again very well, very quickly, with precision.
Yeah.
Just caught Modi Alec out. Cheltenham took a 4-goal lead to quarter time. Modi Alec had all but erased that by half time, but herein lies the problem. Modi Alec hasn't won a third quarter all season yet, and again they fell apart after half time. 7-goal deficit at 3/4 time, and again ran out of time to make that up, just like the week before against Heaven.
Yeah, so interesting form from Modi Alec, and obviously they're missing some key players. So
Modi Alec were not as bad as last week.
Yeah.
And certainly I know the Modi Alec camp isn't heading towards the Westgate yet, but certainly signs of improvement. So we'll see what happens next week.
Yeah, and our next game, Heatherton 54 defeated Caulfield 37, and Hugh, before we jump into this one, from looking at the games from the previous weeks, Heatherton have beat Modi Alec and Caulfield, who were both in the grand final last year. So they've come back with fire in their belly, and their new lineup's performing really well by the scoreboard. So
now, you were all across Heatherton at the start of the season, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were well and truly in their camp. I can see why now. this really wasn't a contest. Heatherton were way too good. Caulfield haven't really fired a shot yet, but you play as well as your opposition allows you to play. And Heatherton didn't let Caulfield play.
No.
So very impressed by Gabby Dwyer, the VNL ranked shooter.
She Oakley District or Heatherton?
And she plays for Oakley District, and that's our next game.
Smooth transition there, Hugh. So Oakley District 56 defeated St Paul's 48. So Oakley District have been undefeated in Division 1, along with Dingley, but obviously Dingley didn't have a game last week. So Oakley doing very well, but by all reports, St Paul's aren't anything to underestimate yet. St
Paul's were very good. They had close to their best side on the court for the first time this season, and it showed. It showed. As mentioned before, Zoe Lithgow was probably best on court at the time she did her injury. A lot of the play went through her wing attack.
Okay.
Two very good shooters in Renee Derin-Boglu and Grace Healy.
Yeah.
And look, they're going to be a very competitive side. They haven't got any fruits for their labour yet, but that win won't be far away, I don't think.
Yeah, and obviously Oakley District, a little bit too good there, but...
Bit too polished.
Yeah.
Bit too polished, and it showed in the end.
Yeah.
But certainly they were made to work for their win.
Yeah, and I guess that's reflected in our ladder, which we're just having a look at now after 3 rounds. And interesting to highlight that Oakley District and Cheltenham, who are both first-timers in Div 1, are second and third, so rounding out the top 3. With Dingley first, who are undefeated and have a really healthy percentage rate.
Yeah, Dingley and Oakley first and second on 8 points. They're top 2 by way of the fact that they've only played 2 matches, where Cheltenham and Heatherton, who are both on 8 points as well, have played 3.
Yes.
Now 5th and 6th are the interesting ones.
Yeah, there's a big jump at the moment between the top 4 and the bottom 3. Obviously, we have Morty Alec and Caulfield on 5th and 6th, who are both grand final players and teams in last year's rounds.
Yes, correct. And look, I don't think we'll see Morty Alec and Caulfield 5th and 6th by the end of the season, but you don't know, do you?
Yeah, the other teams are in fine form at the moment, so it will be interesting to see there. And we have St Paul's rounding it out there with some interesting games coming this week to see what will happen there. There'll be a lot of changes to that ladder.
And St Paul's will win matches.
Oh, 100%.
There's no doubt about that. St Paul's will win matches.
And they've become much stronger from their previous years in Division 1, and they seem a lot more competitive, so something really positive there for their club.
Very well coached by Nellie Clark as well.
Yeah, so... and our next segment, Hugh, which we call...
Under the Bus.
So I guess our first thing for Under the Bus is from inside some camps, it's come out that there was 34 unregistered players that played in round 2, which means they don't have VNA. And means, according to, I believe, some bylaws, that they should be deducted with points and made adjustments there.
Yeah, so really what we want to see now from the league is some sort of announcement as to which sides are affected, and a bit of a points adjustment for that reason. Certainly the bylaws suggest that that's the way it should go. So, let's see what happens from here. But one thing I want to ask is, how do we across the league get this wrong 34 times?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a heck of a lot.
Yeah, and I guess we've got some homework to do, Hugh, there to see who has been affected and also to see whether potentially some ladders have been adjusted. But a lot of like a big number of girls that are unregistered, and that's just in one round.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it might have been higher in round 1.
Well, quite possibly. I mean, be interesting to see if there are multiple examples from the same club, whether things have been done wrongly across the board by a particular club, or whether it's right throughout the the grades. I mean, it's certainly something that we'll keep an eye on in future weeks.
Yeah, and I guess also for Under the Bus, it's a bit of our rumour section. If any clubs have functions coming up that they want to sort of get some advertisement for,
Yes.
they can let us know and we'll spread the word a bit.
And if anyone does something that said functions that we want to throw them under the bus for, let us know on the SFNL GameFace Facebook page.
Yes, and also anyone that wants maybe some names mentioned for some fines out there, we're happy to
We're
get
happy to
that on.
publicise.
Yes, so make sure you're getting in contact with us and giving us some content there, I guess.
Because we like throwing people under the bus.
You can see that Hugh's very passionate about this segment that he's named. And I guess our next point of call is our topic of the week. Hugh, can you give us some more information on that?
No, sorry. Some leagues have brought in rules to stop players playing in two separate leagues. So, for example, we've had players in the past that have played in the SFNL, say in the 12 o'clock Division 1 fixture,
Yeah.
and then gone to play for, say, Mornington League clubs.
Yeah.
And that's been done for quite some time.
Probably since the league started.
Probably since the league started.
Yeah.
We know about it. We're happy with it.
Yeah.
Really. Some associations aren't happy with it.
Yeah.
And they've brought in rules to stop it. Now, what we'd like to know is what you think about that. And again, if you go to the GameFace SFNL Netball Group Facebook page,
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
I need to take a breath after that. Please let us know. You will see the poll there on the Facebook page. And please, look, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
We'll look at the results next week and we'll go from there.
And some interesting topics that could be brought up there and everything. So, Hugh, I guess my question is, what's your stance on that? Do you reckon it should be a rule or?
I don't see the need for it, personally. So leave it alone. If it doesn't have to be there, don't put it there.
Fair enough.
And please do, as I say, let us know what you think, because we don't want to come back next week and say we had 2 responses and it's running 50-50. So, yes, let's hear from you.
So next on our agenda is the Interleague squad. So obviously Interleague is in 2 weeks, am I right?
2.5, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, 17
2.5.
days.
All right. Hugh's got the countdown
And
on.
counting.
Yes.
Yes.
And
16 days, 21 hours.
and we obviously have talked a lot about our senior coach.
14 minutes.
And our under-19s as well. So we have 2 teams going on there. But I guess our major thing is we haven't seen teams yet, have we?
Well, no, we haven't. I'm led to believe that the under-19s squad is either picked or literally hours away from being picked.
Yeah.
Kate Foster, the coach there. And the seniors, look, I know that there were deliberations happening last weekend.
Okay.
I've not seen any squad announced at the moment, but obviously that can't be too far away because, look, let's be honest, there's not going to be an extensive preparation, is
No,
there?
and I guess that's sort of been a trouble in the previous years for the league, has been that build-up. But obviously we've both been involved in Interleague. And
We're both pretty passionate about it, aren't we?
Yeah, and Will behind the camera has too. And we all wish you the best of luck, whoever is picked and is fortunate enough. And we
know you're going to have a great weekend as well, don't we?
Yeah,
Because,
we sure do.
The trip up to Boort last year was an interesting one in so many ways.
It
was memorable.
But we really do wish everyone the best of luck, and we hope that our top side can come away with some silverware and be the first team to do that for SFNL. So some potential history being made there. So fingers crossed, and good luck, girls.
Sadly, we won't have the legendary Irish this year to lead in the chorus of Up the Southern, but let's do it for the great man, boys and girls.
Absolutely. And jumping into regrading. So we've finished our regrading top 3 weeks. And
we have.
My question is, was there some regrading that happened before the end of round 3, like there was mention of, or?
Yeah, look, I didn't see any evidence of it.
Yeah.
But certainly there have been a few moves made now.
Yeah.
Division 1's untouched. I think we saw that one coming. But Div 2 have lost St Paul's to Div 3. I know that Bentley has moved from Div 3 to Div 4.
Okay.
And that's, I suppose, signifies the start of a rebuild for Bentley. They've lost a lot of players over the last couple of years, which is a shame. And look, the league needs a strong Bentley. It's one of the big power clubs in the league. So, look, we want you to be back on top again, Demons. So let's hope that this is the start of the climb back.
Yeah, so interesting to see some regrading there, but there's also no official word from the league yet on who has been regraded, and we've just seen the fixtures ourselves before stepping out here to do the show, so there hasn't been that time to pull it apart, but will be interesting to sort of see how those teams that are regraded do go on Saturday, and we wish them all the best, and obviously for the benefit of the club and the league, so hopefully we get some positive results there.
Now, when you were on your bike last week, Mac,
Yes.
we had a bit of a problem at the netball courts.
Oh, it's a bit worrying.
Yeah, it is a bit concerning. A grave shortage of umpires. The league was struggling to fill vacancies in the first time slot. Second time slot would have been delayed by, I'd say, a good 15-20 minutes while they've just tried to find umpires to cover the matches, which is not the sort of situation that the league would be happy with.
No, and obviously we've grown a lot this year, so not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination, but I guess our whole reason for mentioning is that we want to try and help out the league as much as we can, and obviously we do need umpires. We can't have our rounds without them. They're very vital, and if you are an umpire, know an umpire, or able to help in any way, if you could contact the SFNL Netball Operations Coordinator, Sue Kimber. And Hugh, where can we contact her? You can contact her by email on sue.kimber@sfnl.com.au. So anyone that's able to help out there would be great to have your help and be able to help the league in that really positive way. And fingers crossed that it won't be a problem on Saturday. Yeah. But moving into Saturday, obviously we're going into round 4. And who's on top of the leaderboard for the tips, Mac? Oh, I knew you were going to bring that up. Hugh, you're on 7 out of 9, and unfortunately I'm on 5 out of 9, so... That would be a 2-tip lead, wouldn't it, mate? Yeah, it would. You're clearly on the money there, and I need to play a bit of catch-up. You need to pull up your socks. Yeah, fingers crossed that these tips will be a bit beneficial for my... Not if you put your socks on first, but anyway, there we go. There we go. Whole nother story. So our first game that we're looking at is Caulfield v St Paul's, and obviously there are 2 bottom of the ladder teams, so a really interesting matchup there, and fingers crossed it's a competitive close game. And I think it will be. I think it will be. Both sides will be desperate. 100%. Obviously, neither side wants to go zip and 4, but look, St Paul's were impressive in their defeat last week. Yeah. Caulfield, for me, haven't fired a shot yet. Look, what's your tip, Mac? I'm going to have to stick with the Bears here, and I'm going to tip Caulfield. What about you, Hugh? So I'm going to go the other way. Yep. St Paul showed me last week enough to suggest that a win just around the corner. I don't get that impression from Caulfield at the moment. I think St Paul's might win this one. Well, let's hope that the Bears can come out on top, because I'm not only desperate for them to win, but I'm also desperate for the points on the leaderboard. And our next game is a really interesting one with Dingley v Cheltenham. So obviously Cheltenham had a really impressive win on the weekend, and Dingley's coming from a week off, I believe. That's correct. So it will be interesting to see how Dingley spent their week off and how they come back on the court, if they come back firing like they were before they left, or if they're not able to hold their top of the ladder position. This will be the more physical game that Cheltenham have faced so far in Division 1. Dingley will mark them close. They won't give them space. No. Cheltenham will try and move the ball through quick hands.
It's worked for them so far. Will it work again? Well, time will tell.
Yeah.
But look, we'll see what happens. What do you think, Mac?
I'm going to back Dingley in this, and fingers crossed again they come away with the win, and maybe I'll come out on top on next week's leaderboard. But Hugh, who are we going for?
This, for me, is a very hard one to tip.
Agree.
Cheltenham is the sort of side with the sort of game style that will bother Dingley. And I actually think that they could upset the apple cart here. I will go for Cheltenham.
Yeah.
It's will be interesting to see how Dingley react if Cheltenham can get a lead on them. I think Cheltenham might just be able to put a few points on them early and be very hard to catch if they do.
Yeah, Cheltenham's not one to be underestimated, that's for sure.
Not by any chalk.
I guess if we're looking at any game, that's probably the game of the round.
I think so.
Two of our really top teams are up there.
They're two informed sides.
Yeah.
That'll be a good game.
And our next game is Oakley District v Mordialloc. And interesting one here. If you look on the ladder, we have Oakley sitting at second and Mordialloc at fifth. But I don't think that's going to be reflected in the game. I'm hoping it won't be. I hope for Mordialloc's case that they come out a bit with some power and a bit firing. I know that they did struggle for numbers last week. Yeah. So, and Oakley just coming out on top with their win as well. So it's a bit of both, a bit of a mixed bag in that game, I think. And I don't think you can guess what side they're going to bring forward for either team.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what side is put on the park. Mordialloc should have Katie DeGaris back, should have Danny Wilson back. They're your two first choice defenders.
Yeah.
Along with Amy Gledhill, of course.
Yeah.
It will make a big difference. Mordialloc are absolutely seething about the two losses they've had in the last two games. I think they'll come out breathing fire. I think Mordialloc will have enough to win this game.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with Oakley, so we hopefully they come out with a win there. So we've got a split bag here,
We
Hugh,
have.
and
We've gone the opposite way in each of the three games.
So this could either be really beneficial for our leaderboard or hurt
this could
us
be
a
make
lot.
or break, Mac.
It could. And we have Heatherton there with a bye, so some interesting games going to happen on Saturday, and obviously hopefully throughout the week we hear some news on Interleague and the squads that will be there, and we'll be able to see whether there's been some regrading happening down the divisions.
Now you will have noticed, if you've managed to stay awake for the whole show, you will have noticed that our wonderful sponsors have been rotating across this board at the back of us. Look, we thank our sponsors very much, and we say to anyone who's watching, take note of them, use them when you can, tell them that Will Hunter sent you.
We're getting really professional there.
We are.
Look at this.
I've got
Watch
the arm
that.
movements going and everything. So there's only one thing that's left for us to say, Mac.
And remember,
Get your game face on.